as you listen to the songs and listen to the tracks on these 2 albums, they recorded 15 songs in a day. It is astounding. The way in which it will take us a year to get something out because we want it to be perfect. And what makes these tracks so beautiful is how imperfect they are.
Let's get this show on the road. Wherever you are, get in your car and come on down, enjoy your show. If it's your first time, we'll jump on in. By the end of this drive, you'll be a Shavian. No, let's get this show on the road.
Hi, Kelly.
Hey, Spike.
I have a question for you because I've heard a rumor.
Oh no, what have you heard?
Well, it's something I think I need to address with you directly.
Okay.
Are you a magician?
Am I a magician? Well, I would say at this point, I am a hobbyist magician with aspirations to become like a semi-professional
Las Vegas show, fireworks, tigers. Come on.
I love magic, and I love doing magic for my friends.
I love that. When did that start for you?
Well, I've always gravitated towards it. When I was a kid, my parents got me one of those magic kits that had all the typical kids' magic things in it, cup and balls and a trick deck of cards and a magic hat and wand. And I remember obsessing over that, but I didn't really perform magic that much when I was younger. I loved it. I would go to magic shows. I remember going to see David Copperfield. But it wasn't really until Amelia was born that I started to consider what performing it would be like. It sounds so cliche, but I started to see the world through her eyes.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
I started to see, like, for her, everything is magic. Everything is wonder. And that kind of connected me back to the feeling that I had when I was a kid. And that coincided with one of the productions that we did here in the middle of the pandemic. We had this outdoor series called Showgrounds.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it was all outdoors. It was a bit of a roving experience. The audience would go from one act to the next. And for that, I decided this could be a cool opportunity to just dip my toe in the water and see what it's like to perform magic. And so I created an act that was based on my anxieties through COVID.
Oh, wow.
And how letting go of control could lead to something bigger than I could control on my own. And since then, I have dove deep into learning the craft of it and now basically forcing my friends to watch me do whatever I'm willing to do.
Well, you kind of swept the snag. We have a beautiful event here once every couple of months on a Saturday night at the basement of the Royal George Theatre. We call it a snag. It's called Saturday Night at the Royal George. And I heard and saw the video of this epic trick that you did with Rebecca Northern. You really journey. Like, this was not a quick, like, look over here and snap and all this, it wasn't like something that was a quick, draw. It was something that actually had stages and an arc. Do you find there's crossover between your work as an actor and your work as you were doing your work as a magician?
Oh, 100%. I've spent close to 20 years in the industry as an actor. And so the idea of storytelling and narrative is just ingrained into my DNA at this point. And so the type of magic that I gravitate towards is the kind by, if people know who Darren Brown is or Derek Delgadio, the type of performers who really build a narrative with a theme that means a little bit more than just flashy hands or just where did that coin go? There's a quote that the father of modern day magic, his name was Robert Houdin. And he said that a magician is simply an actor playing the part of a magician. And for me, That's all it is. I'm just pretending that I can do the impossible. I can't do the impossible. I stand in front of a group of people who knows that I can't do the things that I'm about to do, but is willing to suspend their disbelief.
Wow.
Magic can exist in the space between reality and imagination. And I like to play around in that. So
that's amazing. Do you have any projects coming up? Anything that you want to do with this magic?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I got so many things I want to do with it. Yeah, I have written a show. It is based on my experience of becoming a father and seeing the world through a magical lens and all the things that entails. So we'll see. Hopefully, I'll be able to bring it to an audience at one point. But for now, I get to just explore it in my head, which is pretty great, too.
I look forward to that opportunity to see that, because I think it would be, I'm already kind of tearing up thinking about what you'd be able to do, because there is that beautiful wonder and there is that balance, that idea that magic is all around us. And sometimes we just need to let ourselves be open to seeing it. And I think that's something that I do feel we get to do a lot here at the Shaw Festival with the work that we do. And And we've got two pretty stellar magicians coming to bring Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong to life. And I'm so excited to talk to Alana and Jeremiah today.
Shaw audiences might recognize Alana from her work in Amen Corner, My Fair Lady, and A Grand Night for Singing.
And Jeremiah Sparks is the music director for our incredible Shaw Gospel Choir. You would have also seen him in Gem of the Ocean and 1837 Farmers' Revolt. And I have to say, Jeremiah has a special place in my heart because we're both from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, from Cole Harbour.
Nice.
So Jeremiah is from the Preston area, from Cherrybrook, and I grew up watching him on the Neptune stage. So the fact that we're here and we get to work together is really special indeed. It feels kind of fantastically full circle. So I'm very excited to hear more about this beautiful production that they've put together. But before we do, let's hear from TC about why he programmed Ella and Louis.
The Spiegel Tent is a place that really celebrates song and celebrates boldness of performance. And in Alana and Jeremiah, you have two of the most fearless as well as two of the most brilliant performers in the company. Our audience loves hearing someone absolutely tear the roof off with a vocal performance. And I thought, well, all right, then I'll give it to you. I simply had an instinct, which I think will prove accurate, that those two personalities and that body of work would create an amazing experience. It also will, I hope, be a chance for people to hear some of the songs that we can't do in our other shows and even sing along with them. I really want people to be able to open their lungs and sing. Honestly, I don't think you'll be able to stop yourself.
Last year, we were doing the Cotton Club, and the energy that Jeremiah and I have, it really feels electric, and I feel like it resonated well with a lot of the audience members. And so one night I was having wine with my dear friend, Kimberly Rampersad, and I said, I would really love to start doing more creation. I was thinking that it would be really great if Jeremiah and I could conceive a show about Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong. And she was like, oh, that'd be great. And she immediately messaged TC. And he was like, that's an awesome idea. And so I was really, when you say something offhand, just hoping that maybe, in 2 or 3 years it will happen. And it was like, oh no, it's going in the season.
It's actually happening.
It's actually happening.
Yeah, so it was it's quite the shock that it was happening so fast. It's a blessing at the same time because it put me and Alana in the creative mode and we just went at it. Yeah, she researched Ella, I researched Louis. It was quite the journey.
And what have you been discovering in that research? What have you been finding?
I found a lot of similarities with myself and Lewis. I did a show, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago called Satchmo Suite.
Yeah, we're going to come back to that in this podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, but keep going.
That started my research. He's just an absolute, very huge man with a strong, big heart. Louis Armstrong has always appealed to me, even before the research.
And what are you hoping to bring forward from his story into the show?
I think we want to bring forward his heart and his ability to go on despite the hardships that he had to go through. He had to take hits from the white folk and the black folk. And so it's a story of resilience and how a resilient heart can get through anything if you have love for something. And his love for his trumpet and music has just got him through all those difficulties.
It's interesting how music, and Black music in particular, has been exploited over the years. And they came in a very precarious time where not only was it exploitative, but they were actually breaking barriers through that exploitation. So they used the music that everybody seemed to enjoy and push the civil rights movement. And that's something that I think is really interesting. Another thing is just how funny both of them were, like how incredibly funny they were. And we had so many different iterations of this show. We were going to talk about their past, and then we were going to talk about all the other people that they worked with. And then we just started to realize that the biggest thing is the relationship that they had with each other. And there was just such mutual respect and joy. And so that's what we want to share with our audiences, that joy and that relationship.
And how did you get started in this world, singing, theater? When did this start to find you?
For me in particular, I was always, I was hyperactive. And so my mother was always looking for something for me to do. And music was something that just came naturally to me. But, you know, I was in drama at Earl Bales Community Center in North York. I just developed such a love for every facet of arts, from painting to singing, dancing, acting. And then I was in the opera chorus, and that kind of helped me with like reading music and ear training. And so it's always been a part of my life. And that's how I really got my start, just being a hyperactive kid. And my mother was like, you have too much energy. We need to put you in drama.
Where are we going to put you?
So if you have a hyperactive child, put them in drama. I tell you, it works wonders.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, great on your mama, because look at the gift that we have with who you are and the amazing work that you bring to your audiences. It's a very special thing. What about you, Jeremiah? I mean, I know a little bit about your story, and I was going to say it feels a little full circle having this chat with you about Louis Armstrong, because I first saw you on the stage in Satchmo when you first did it in the Satchmo Suite.
Yes, and at the time that was my first time ever doing a two-man play, so it was quite daunting.
So how did you get started? When did this world of theater find you?
Theater found me. I've always been a musician and a singer. Music is my life. I was brought up in the church, so I was the choir director and church organist in Preston Church called Cherrybrook. I've been playing the organist since I was 15, 16 years old. Acting came for me, I would say, early 30s. What had happened, I was in a show because I was a music director for a show. George Eliot Clarke wrote this play called A While of Falls. And it was a radio play, and I spoke a small portion in the script, but then it was remounted. And when it was remounted, my role was one of the leads. And I never really had acting experience before, but I naturally fell into that. And ever since then, I've just been absorbing off the greats like Walter Borden and Jackie Richardson and many greats that I've been blessed to act with and learn off of.
Well, and there's quite the lineage in Nova Scotia for Black artists coming through, opera singers, musicians. You're part of such a legacy out east in the East Coast that we have been, very blessed. And I feel very blessed to be working with you here at the Shaw Festival even now, It just feels like to watch your work, and the work that you do. And I wanted to ask about the gospel choir. And I was wondering if you could just tell us a little bit about that and your work with that particular group here at the Shaw Festival.
Yeah, man. Speaking of blessings, that's another big one. Is to be, because choirs for me, I love how I'm able to affect people in the choir, but they affect me so much. Just being in the choir and we're all focusing on one thing is a collective thing for the heart that just brings us together in a way that not too many other venues can do that. Choirs for me is a way of bringing people together. And I've used choirs to do that. There was a time, very quickly, Cole Harbor is a city in Halifax, and there was a racial war that happened 1 year, and they brought me in to form a choir. And the choir works all the time.
I remember that. I remember that being in the
Right
news.
on.
That was a hugely impactful thing for that community, and still has, I think, resonates even now within that community.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Alana, I 100% want to fangirl you because you've toured with Corey Hart. Can you just talk about that, please? Because my 80s child is like, what?
Yeah, my 80s child as well. I was freaking out. It was interesting how it all came together because I sing with Johnny Reed. I've been his backup singer since 2013. And so then we were asked to go into the studio to do a record for him. And while we were there, the producer of that album said, "Oh, hey, I'm doing another project. And I'd really love for you to come out and sing some background vocals." So Miku Graham, who's actually Michael Shand's partner, and Michael Shand is the musical director and pianist for Ella and Louie. So we went out and we showed up at the studio, and there's this like slight man with blonde tips in the corner. And I'm like, I don't even know, like, who are we singing for? And then the music started, and I was like, is that Corey Hart? And then we both looked in the corner, and there he was. And he's just like, hey, so unassuming, so like sweet. So we do these background vocals, and it has Jim Cuddy on the track from Blue Rodeo. Like, it was basically Canadian royalty. And he says, hey, ladies, I'm thinking I'm going to go on tour next year. Do you think you'd be interested? And I was like, he's not talking to me. He's probably talking to Miku. She does this all the time. I was like, oh yeah, I'm actually committed. I'm doing a show. I was at Soul Pepper at the time. So I was like, I'm not available. And then Miku's like, yeah, I can do it. And then she couldn't because Johnny was going out at the same time. And she called me and she's like, Alana, can you do this? It just came at the right time because I had just turned down The Color Purple. And I ended up going on this tour, and it was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Really great guy. He knows what he wants. Never raised his voice. So cool.
So how did you find your way to the Shaw Festival? What's your journey here?
I will say that is a blessing of meeting Kimberly Ramprasad in the auditions for The Color Purple. And the reason I couldn't do The Color Purple was I couldn't be away. My mom had just been diagnosed with dementia. And I was worried about being away for too long because we were trying to figure out like what the programming was going to look like. And so that's why the tour worked, because I was able to come home pretty often.
Right. So you were out just sort of for shorter periods of time,
Yes,
home more
exactly.
frequently in between. Right.
And so I guess when they decided that they were going to do the Amen Corner, I had auditioned for White Christmas and I didn't get it. And I was like, oh, that's all right. My other friend got it, so that's fine. We're very supportive
Gosh,
in
our
that community.
business.
And then I got an offer. So I guess TC must have seen the audition tape and it went from there.
And now here you are.
And I love it.
For your presence it's a really special thing because there's so much that we learn and gain from the work you do, because you keep your freelance work, your singing work, you're even as you're performing on stage this season, you're still picking up and holding, you have your gigs. Is that right?
It's important to do for me because I believe that if you don't stay connected, then you can really lose out. And I don't think the Shaw likes that either. I think the fact that I have these other avenues, more people come to the shows because they see me doing a concert Yeah, I think it's really a great relationship to have these artists that go out, like just like Jeremiah, he'll go on the off season and do another show, but they recognize him and they want to come here and see him. And I think that that's how you build and grow audiences if you can.
And how about you, Jeremiah? What was your journey to the Shaw Festival?
Me and my girl was the thing that started me off here. I've just been loving it ever since. And back on the choir thing, because that year I started the choir and it was just a voluntary thing, which is now turned into an actual thing that I get paid for.
Yeah, you're on contract for it because they were like, this has to actually be a part of the whole season because so many people benefit from that program.
Yes.
So many people. And the concerts that you do, it's incredible. So you auditioned, you got into Me and My Girl. And what drew you to come back? Like, what's been that drive to keep coming back to the Shaw?
It's because Shaw embraced me and the fact that they helped to bring me up in the world of acting with all the courses and things that we can take here. And so I just felt that embrace with Shaw. It's a beautiful place to live. And so those things just helped me to want to come back. And it continues to be so.
Amazing. I want to come back to the show a little bit to Ella and Louis. What you said in the beginning about sort of what kicked it off and what you were starting to explore as you talked to Kimberly about it is there's such legacy in these songs. I mean, I remember watching the Cotton Club last year, and when you sang Strange Fruit, Alana, the room went silent, completely silent. There was a weight and a purpose in that room that was resonating everywhere. So the balance of, like you say, that political movement that's in these songs that these artists were fighting for, but to capture the joy, that there is something that's in the joy of these songs, in the singing of these songs. And I'm just wondering, in terms of how are you building this show, what are some of those steps that you're taking? Could you take me through a bit of what your process has been up to now?
I will say that this particular process is music forward. We're really looking at the way in which the relationship buds through the music. And it's interesting as you listen to the songs and listen to the tracks on these two albums, it's Ella and Louis and Ella and Louis again. They recorded 15 songs in a day.
Wow.
It is astounding. The way in which we now today it will take us a year to get something out because we want it to be perfect. And what makes these tracks so beautiful is how imperfect they are. There's a particular song where you could hear the piano going to the bridge, but she's like, nope, I'm staying on the verse. And they have to bring themselves back to the verse. Or sometimes the words, they didn't have all the words. So she'd trip on laughter. And what I think made it so beautiful is because there was an energy. We couldn't go back. We have to keep going forward. Just like in our lives, we can't go back. We have to keep pushing forward. And how do we do that? With community, with joy, with love, in our collective pain, in our collective understanding of each other and of humanity. And so this is what I hope will resonate with people because we're going to be bare. We're laying bare everything that we have in honor of the two individuals that we're celebrating. And actually the three individuals because Michael Shand is playing Oscar Peterson, who is a Canadian treasure.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, how did that... Because again, I remember we met in the green room and there he was. And it was like, I can't believe I'm meeting this person right now. How did that decision come in? Was this from the beginning you knew that you wanted Michael in? Or what's been that process?
Well, we had ideas for pianists, but Michael Shand for both of us. Lana's worked with him more, but I've worked with him as well. But Michael Shand was the guy that we were hoping and crossing our fingers for us. Not that the other guys were lower, just in case they listen to this.
No,
You guys are all awesome. Everybody's awesome.
he was the first choice.
He was just the first choice. Yes.
And how he came about is that Jeremiah and I both felt strongly we would have loved to have a trio, but it's just,
we love those budgets, though, don't we?
The budget, sadly.
Nope.
But Michael, he has the skill set to do everything and all things, and I just feel like he'll flesh out the sound that we need. And also, Oscar Peterson, he recorded with Ella and Louis. This was the recording that really launched him. So it was the Oscar Peterson trio that played with Ella and Louis on both of those albums.
Yes.
That's wild. I mean, I think somewhere in the back of my mind, I kind of knew that, but I had forgotten. That's incredible. So are you building text at the same time? Are you writing some scenes to thread something through?
Oh, Jeremiah, we did a lot of writing and a lot of throwing away.
There's some text left. But no, we're quite happy with what we have now. In retrospect, I think it was a little text heavy at the beginning. Right now, I think we're in a good place to tell the story and to take us through these concerts and how they brought it together. But like Alana's saying, the fun that they had is the big thing that we want to bring to this production.
Do you have a little story or something about them that you could share that might just be sort of in the background?
I mean, there's a number of different stories, but the one that we were talking about, and we were toying with really focusing on it, but then we decided not to, was that he had met Ella maybe 10 years before they recorded together and literally said, no, she's not ready. It just so happened that, I mean, of course, they were in the same circles, and he was, I guess, 16 years her senior, but it just clicked for him. And he was like, oh, I really can get down with the purity of voice with a little bit of my rasp. And that connection was so good. And he controlled, like Louis Armstrong, as much as he smiled, he took charge of that album. You know, Norman Granz got them together, but he was the one, he picked the songs, he picked the keys. He said, who's singing what? And she was like, I guess I'm going along with it. And they still really enjoyed each other.
Such an interesting thing, and to explore these two incredible personalities and these pillars of the entire jazz world, right? And the way that they came together, and the way, like you say, that while they were controlling, there is that level of imperfection, like you say, that there is something that's so alive inside. You can hear it as they're making music together. You listen to these recordings, it's like you're in the room with them. There's an invitation to that. What's going to be that relationship to the audience? Are you these are some toe tapping and songs that we know, tempting us to maybe start to sing along or maybe try to mouth the words along with you. Is there an invitation for that? Is there, something in the space that would allow for that?
Well, we always, sort of encourage people to sing along. There's a portion where we're gonna get people to do some singing, but it's funny you talk about how when you hear these albums, how alive it is, because especially the way it's recorded, it is actual live. We don't record like that anymore. When you actually are putting your soul into it, you can't stop. There's no cutting and pasting. And so one time when Louis dropped his lyrics, scatting sort of began there because he just started scatting because he didn't know what to say. And Norman Granz just said, keep going. The tape's rolling. You don't have time. So that's where scatting started. And he's just blown his voice like a horn. But if it wasn't for that, things would be different. So it's just funny how life is. And
yeah, there's no auto-tune.
Yes, sir. That's right.
It's there. You're actually in that zone with them, and you're feeling that flow with them, and it captivates and captures you in a really specific way. And what's it been like working with Kimberly? Because obviously she's been there from the beginning. We've had her on 2 of our episodes now, and listening about her journey into directing. And I'm just wondering, what's it like between the 4 of you with Michael there? What's that been like in the room as you explore these ideas?
It's beautiful. Like, the thing that I love about Kimberly is that she loves this music. it really sparks her. And she is probably one of the hardest working directors I know. I mean, she's directed 3 shows in the festival, and that takes a lot out of her. And she shows up and is ready to curate and be critical and hold our feet to the fire to make sure that we're doing the best to honor the work. And so I appreciate that. It's like anything when you're working, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's a difficult process because you need to get to a moment of clarity and understanding. I really love and appreciate her.
And another thing cool about Kim is she has a calmness about her, and she gets things done with that calmness. And I always appreciate directors. I met so many directors, and I love the different ways that they do their thing. But I do appreciate when people can be calm, especially in the midst of hell, because sometimes you can always find that hell when you're working on productions. The room that she commands then becomes calm. She gives everybody their space. She's not one of those totalitarian directors. She lets you think, she lets you create, and she's very good at thinking of things that we wouldn't have thought of. Me and Alana would bring her a script, and she goes, "That's great, but what about this?" And we'll go, "Oh." It's just having that mind that come through. I've always appreciated Kim. She knows how to command a room, and even though she's calm, she knows how to bring it hard.
It's that rigor, rigor and grace.
Amen.
Yep. So you're right in the middle of the process right now. I mean, by the time this airs, the show will be up, and you're getting close. Is that right?
We have an audience next week.
Oh, gosh. It's a lot closer.
Oh, yeah. We have 3 rehearsals before we have an audience.
Okay. All right. So that's getting real close. Is there a particular challenge? Is there something that's like, oh, this is going to be interesting? Or has there been a challenge along the way that has been part of that growth? Because I think audiences come and they see this final product, this thing that we've all put so much time and energy in. And there's just the creative bumps are sometimes they can be some of the most valuable parts of the process. And they can be hard. Like you said, Jeremiah, it can be really tough to go through those bumps. And I'm just wondering, has there been like some of those along the way, or is there a challenge that you're looking down the pipes at over the next couple of rehearsals and as you get it up? Because sometimes it's good to hear about what's facing you, for us to just not just assume that it's all been smooth sailing along the way.
It's a new work. And so with new works, it is going to be difficult. It's about what is the theme? Like, what are we looking at? What are we talking about? What are we trying to share with the world? So at times it has been difficult because maybe there's things that I wrote that won't necessarily resonate, or maybe they will. But I think one of the things about creating, and I know Jeremiah feels this way too, is that we're not married to anything. The one thing we're married to is who are these people and what is this relationship and how are we interpreting these songs? But outside of that, the words can change, the situations can change. But as long as as we said, we're music forward in this particular production. Again, the other thing is, and it's something that a lot of theater companies are going through, is just the budgetary concerns. Because if we wanted to do this in the way that we could really honor it, we would have a trio, and it would be like the Oscar Peterson trio, or maybe we would have a workshop prior to actually presenting. But other than that, I don't really feel like there's anything like within the next 3 rehearsals that we won't be able to accomplish.
There's daily challenges. And so every day it becomes more like, okay, what's going to be the challenge today? There's going to be one. And if there's not, that's like, whoa, that's cool. But especially when we were creating, it was just every day is like, okay, there's going to be something else where it's in the beginning blocking stage. So there's going to be many more. But that's what we do. We take those challenges and work them out. But we never think, I hope there's no challenges, because the challenges actually teach you.
They definitely do. Just my final question for both of you. If I have bought my ticket, I'm coming to see Ella Louie. And I'm sitting in the audience and I'm like, gonna watch the show. Is there something like a little Easter egg or a little insider, something that I could keep my eye out for or to listen for as I'm listening to some of these songs?
Well, there are certain things that we've put in there for people that are aficionados of the albums in particular that they may hear and recognize and it will resonate with them. But I think it's really accessible in a way that maybe you'll find something and go, hey, I saw they messed up that, and that maybe that was a part of the album. But other than that, I don't know if there's anything that I can tell you.
Well said.
Okay, folks, you're just going to have to go. You're going to have to come and check it out and go for the ride. I want to thank you both for joining me today for a really beautiful look at this process, the creative process from conception all the way through. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the production when I get back to Niagara-on-the-Lake.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Ella and Louie is playing until September 28th. Tickets available at shawfest.com.
Thank you to Alana Bridgewater and Jeremiah Sparks for joining us. And thank you, as always, for listening. If you have questions, thoughts, or just want to say hello, drop us a line at podcast@shawfest.com.
Let's Get This Shaw on the Road is hosted by Alexis Milligan and produced by me, Kelly Wong. Original music by Travis Cito. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening to us right now. Follow the show to get new episodes in your feed every Thursday, and if you're enjoying it, leave us a review. It helps others discover the show and join in on the conversation.
Next week, we're joined by Kimberly Rampersad and Virgilia Griffith, and we're going to hear all about how they heard about each other long before they worked together for Blues for an Alabama Sky.
We'll see you then.
Let's get this show on the road.